Hello Exile, today we have one of my favorite builds, Cast When Damage Taken Scion. If you're looking for a build that works for everything from farming a 100% delirium map to killing uber bosses, then this is the one for you. And to farm all this, you don't need to press a single button, just start the loop at the beginning of the map and enjoy. It took me a little over 50 divine orb to make a build that can handle all uber bosses, farm any maps, great for Sanctum and Mechanic Leagues. But the biggest pleasure for me is the build process, and this is one of the most interesting builds in this regard. Don't forget to like the video and we'll move on to the build. So I will be using 4 flasks in my build, so I need Brutal Restraint with 2 nodes giving increased flask charges gained. When I looked at the trade, the cheapest one was from 3 divine orbs, so I used live search and I managed to buy for 1 divine orb. I will try to leave a link to 2 node jewels, otherwise you can use 3 flasks in the build, then any Brutal Restraint with Balbala will do. I remind you that you can find any timeless jewel you need using the calculator. Next, Skin of the Lords, usually use 2 red sockets, 3 blue sockets and 1 green socket, but at the moment those colors are much more expensive, so I decided to go for 2 red, blue and green sockets, in which case we will lose some damage. Please note that the body armor does not have a passive that will break the build, such as Precise Technique, Blood Magic, and others. Next up is our weapon, the Annihilating Light, perfect roll of course. It also takes about 2 divine orbs to make it 6 link. The main flask of our build, Alrotha's Resolve with 44% increased charges per use, perfect value for money. The Pandemonius with Whispers of Doom Anoint, the best amulet for this version. Since I won't be recruiting Surprise to save money, I plan on using an extra curse. It's belt time. We need reduced flask charges used, increased flask effect duration and increased cooldown recovery rate. I bought a leather belt with fractured 19% reduced flask charges used. Now you need flask duration. For this you can use either Chaos Orb, or any essence that takes prefix. I used Screaming Essence of Doubt by buying 4 of them for 1 chaos. They give an evasion rating that doesn't affect our build in any way, so it's much more profitable to look for flask duration. Next, we need to craft a 12% increased cooldown recovery rate. This value will be enough to achieve the 27% that is needed for the build to work. Pay attention that there is no armor in the prefix, since any amount can interfere. Before you start crafting, try to look for ready-made items on the trade, maybe some can be found cheaper. I prefer to craft most of the items myself because I am interested in doing this. The second flask, Dying Sun, will give us some fire resistance and a lot of damage due to 2 additional projectiles. Try to choose with good rolls. A tattoo that gives us 8% increased cooldown recovery rate in this place, so we already have 20%. The remaining 7% can be obtained from boots, or take 5% on boots, and 2% on Abyss Jewel. Let's move on to crafting boots. I was looking for boots right away with 7% cooldown so as not to spend a lot of currency looking for this property. I got some great boots with a good percentile, as well as a 10% reduced mana cost of skills if you've been hit recently enchantment, although the enchantment from the second labyrinth is still nice. First, let's make the quality more than 20%, 27 will be enough. Next, use Dense Fossil. We need to get at least 350 ward, open prefix to craft movement speed and some resistances. Use Eldritch Chaos Orb to roll suffixes. And looking to avoid being shocked. Next, Runic Crown. Craft in the same way as with boots, as much ward and resistance as possible. 1 fossil and I got perfect prefix, not bad. Third flask, Quicksilver with increased effect and additional resistances during effect. and gloves, we craft the same way as other items. 400 or 450 ward is enough, but for some reason I missed 450 several times. In the end I spent much more than I could. Next rings, I took one without physical quality, but with hatred aura effect implicit. And the second with the physical quality. This is enough for me to make my CWDT work correctly. You can always check your values using the appropriate calculator. 2 large cluster gems. The following passives are required: Sadist and Stormrider. The first gives a lot of damage, the second allows us to generate power charges. Also Prismatic Heart will be a good option as it will help us gain resistance. Gem time. Anomalous skeletons should be level 11. Use the recipe to lower the gem level. Anomalous minion speed, any level, and 20% quality. 2 to Dust Jewel, should have 34% reduced skeleton duration in the bag. Let's check if everything works. Great, we are on the right track. Now it's time to make a medium cluster gem, ideally for 6 passives, but this one is quite expensive, so we will use it for 5. We buy a base item level 84, on it we need fasting and added small passive skills have 35% increased effect, or added small passive skills also grant 3% increased flask charges gained. The cheapest way to make one is using Orb of Alteration. It will take some time. Buy a tattoo for +1 to level of all intelligence skill gems. We also take a tattoo for flask effect duration. It is necessary that the average flask uptime be 100% and at least 80% minimum uptime. We replace the rest of the unnecessary attributes with global defenses so that the amount of our ward is greater than the damage from Forbidden Right. The 4th flask I took Bottled Faith for extra damage. You can use a flask for resistances or a ward flask. You can also get by with 3 flasks at first. We also take fire and lightning damage tattoos to make Sadist work. Since Watcher Eye with critical strike chance while affected by hatred was too expensive, I took additional cold damage while affected by hatred. Of course, Storm Shroud, and a jewel for a chance to avoid being shocked. Along with boots, we will get immunity to elemental ailments. And 1 more jewel, with resistance, flask effect duration and additional recoup. Thus, we have about 34 million damage, cap all resistances, fairly high movement speed, the ability to kill any uber bosses and farm all content. Few showcases. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and share your thoughts in the comments. See you.